Welcome back to another edition of Music Monday from the podcast Nurture the Mind. I am your host, Cole Poots, and we have yet again another music reaction. Now, these last 3 weeks, I've done nothing but Tom MacDonald, and that has been a great experience. All three of the songs that I listened to were great songs in their own right. But this week, we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to go back to my man, Ronnie Radke, and the band Falling in Reverse. They just dropped a song called All My Women featuring Hardy, which Hardy is another artist that I really like, that I really enjoy. I don't listen to him a ton. I'm not big into country, but of the few country artists that I go back to on a semi-regular basis, Hardy would be one of those artists. And I know that Hardy, not only is he country, but he's done rock and roll. You know, there was an album, I think, that he dropped, was that 2022, 2023? And it was like half of the album was country, but then the other half of the album was like rock and roll. And the way that I figured out about him was he was actually doing a song with Jeremy McKinnon, which is one of my favorite singers from one of my favorite bands, A Day to Remember. And that was such a interesting song to listen to because it was going back and forth between country and rock. And it was like a song that couldn't really make up its mind on what it wanted to be, but I think that was the intention that Hardy was going for. And so what's it gonna sound like with Falling in Reverse? Like, are they gonna do a mix of country? Is it gonna be solely rock and roll? I mean, I think when listening to Falling in Reverse, you know, like kind of like Tom MacDonald, kind of like Sleep Token, is that Falling in Reverse is somewhat unpredictable. They do a lot of different things very well, and Ronnie Radke does not shy away from rapping, going rock and roll, alternative. Like, it's very much genre bending, like a lot of the artists that I listen to, a lot of the artists that end up making it to this channel. So needless to say, I'm very excited and giddy and anxious. I wonder what Falling in Reverse is doing. Are they gearing up for an album? Because they came out with God is a Weapon, right? And that featured Marilyn Manson, and now we're getting a feature from Hardy. So I wonder if Ronnie Radke, Falling in Reverse, are they cooking up another album, even though they released one last summer? And, you know, as I look at the music video that we're going to watch, it looks like they are at some type of bar that they're about to enter, and it says Ronald's since 1983. So Ronnie Radke, his real name is Ronald, and I'm assuming 1983 is probably when he was born. And we know also with Falling in Reverse that they tend to have very cinematic music videos. So this should be, as always, a fun experience, and I can't wait to see how Hardy blends in with Falling in Reverse, Ronnie Radke, because if you guys remember that song All My Life, actually, that featured Jelly Roll, was country, but it had like a rock element to it. And so that's actually one of my favorite songs that happened to be on that album. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Let's listen to the music, get to the music video. Once again, we are here for Falling in Reverse, All My Women featuring Hardy. Here we go. What do we got here? Oh, it's a puppet. Is that Ronnie as a puppet? This could be.
I fell in love with a crazy bitch. She fucked me good, she's a lunatic. But that's how I like my women. She keyed my truck, she stole my dog. She broke my heart and I lost my job. And that's only the beginning. She's my future ex-wife. We're moving real fast. She's got me by my balls. She's a pain in my ass. But that's how I like my women. Can't speak round and round like an exorcism. It really turns me on.
I know.
Crazy, bring it on, 'cause that shit don't faze me. She might be just a little crazier than me. She's psycho, but that's all given. She got a Bible verse, steady on the race, never been to church, not to mention that. One more DUI, sent her to prison. But that's how I like mountain head spin, round and round like an exorcism. It really turns me on. Ladies, real crazy, bring it on, 'cause that
Oh
shit
God,
don't
he's on the
faze me.
news. Oh. Strapped to the wheelchair.
And we're moving too fast. She got me by my balls. She's a pain in my ass. But that's how I like. Yeah, just how I like. Mountain head spin, round and round like an exorcism. It really turns me on. Nowadays, real crazy. Bring it on, 'cause that shit don't faze me. She might be just a little crazier than you. She might be.
Is that Tommy Lee? Is that supposed to be Paige? That is All My Women, Falling in Reverse featuring Hardy. I will go through it one more time as always, and I won't watch the music video. I will just go for audio purposes only. But if we talk about my initial thoughts, I mean, it's just funny, right? Like, it's just comedic relief. It's not very, if it is very serious, he's taking a serious subject and he's bringing a comedic spin to it. Like, there might be some substance to it, but I feel like a lot of, the subject matter that was in that song is like right on the surface, right on the nose. Like, it's not really that hard to find out what he's talking about. But the music video was fun. It was interesting. I love how he used basically those puppets or those dolls, whatever you would call them. Looks like Sesame characters of him, but also Hardy. I mean, you get to see the physical version of Ronnie Radke. Same thing with Hardy. Starts out the song and he's doing like the cliche lines of what they talk about in countries, like, oh, my dog died, my girl keyed my truck, blah, 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 which is interesting because Hardy has actually talked about that before with his genre mainly being country. He's wrote songs about that same subject. Actually, the song that he did with Jeremy McKinnon that I was talking about earlier is called Radio Song. And it starts out country, right? And he's like, you got to write a good hook. You got to write a good chorus. It's got to be catchy. I got to talk about a truck. I got to mention beer. I got to mention my dog if I want to get this shit played on the radio. But then it goes into like, this ain't a radio song. And then it goes hard and it goes heavy and you get the screaming from Jeremy. And so there is this cliche that exists not only in country, but probably in every genre that exists. Like we were talking about last week with Tom McDonald, Adam Calhoun, White Boys, and I was talking about rap and hip hop. And I don't know if I mentioned this in that reaction, but there is this sort of notion and stigma. I don't know what the right terminology is, but basically in rap and hip hop, something that is very much glorified is hustling, gangster type of activity. Selling drugs, doing drugs, being flexing. I think last week I was talking about the braggadocious nature that goes on in rap and hip hop. And so basically I feel like every single genre kind of has their accepted norms, things that go on, subject matter, lines in songs, topics of conversation that always tend to reveal themselves in the songs, specifically in the genre. So I thought that was funny how he kind of started out with some of those cliches. It was hard to pay attention to the music because once again, I'm getting wrapped up more so in the music video. That's one of the biggest things I love about Falling in Reverse, as I said earlier before we started, is that they tend to have a very cinematic experience. I wouldn't say this one was nearly as cinematic CGI wise as some of their previous songs, but I mean, with the puppet of Ronnie and Hardy, I'm sure that took a lot of work. And so when I go back the second time and I'm just listening to audio, I'm going to get more of that instrumentation. I'm going to get more of those lyrics. But this one reminds me, for some reason, a lot of All of My Life that featured Jelly Roll. And I think that was a song that when it first came out, it was hard for people to not necessarily wrap their heads around it because it wasn't super complicated, but it was different for Falling in Reverse. It was a different sound because it blended that country aspect, that country music. And I think this song right here is going to be a lot like All My Life, where it's going to be a slow grower, but definitely from some of the instrumentation that I heard in this song, I know it's going to be catchy. I know the more that I listen to it, I'm going to be like, oh my God, dude, like this is catchy as hell. And yeah, again, probably taking a serious subject like All of My Women. Ronnie is talking about his dating experience over the years, and he's like, yeah, I'm getting married to this girl that's going to be we're going to get divorced in the future. And I think he's still with Paige, right? Him and Paige have been, or what would you call her? Paige, but her wrestling name now is Saraya, whatever the hell. I think they're still together. I don't think they broke up. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe he's writing this song about her. But it's basically all of the past women that he's dated and how they're a narcissist and they're bipolar and they have these mental issues. But he's like, I can't remove myself from it. I can't separate myself from these types of women because the crazy ones, it tends to be the more exciting relationships that you get into is when they're crazy because there's so many highs, there's so many downs. And every time you go through a down, it's followed by a high period. And it's like you get fucking addicted to this person. They basically become like a drug to you. And so I think him and Hardy did a phenomenal job of just putting a comedy spin around a rather serious topic, but to make it a lot more lighthearted and more digestible. But yeah, man, that was funny. That was entertaining. I swear to God, at the end, when the doorbell gets rang and it's Ronnie's puppet and he answers the door, and I think it's Tommy Leah's puppet that comes to the door, which would make sense just because of all the crazy women that he was with, the famous shit that happened between him and Pamela Anderson. He would be a good cameo for this song or this music video to show up. And then at the end, Ronnie is straddled and strapped to a wheelchair, basically like he can't get out of this situation. There's a priest that comes in and he's doing an exorcism on this girl and she's like throwing up this green slimy stuff. It's just very entertaining. I think that's where Falling in Reverse never really disappoints. Like even if you don't like their music, I am personally, and everybody knows this on my channel because started really listening to these guys back in 2021 actually on the channel, and I'm a huge fan of Ronnie. I'm a huge fan of Falling in Reverse. I don't care if they do some things that are a little bit cringeworthy. There's going to be artists like that do those things but also put out really good works. Same thing with MGK, just dropped an album and I listened to it yesterday as I was going to the gym, but through my workout. The album's called Lost Americana, I think, or Americano. Yeah, that's a great project, but yeah, there's a lot of people that hate MGK and think that he's too cringeworthy. It's like there's a lot of artists that I love, but sometimes do cringeworthy things. Drake is one of those artists. So I don't like when people say that, right? Like that would be a deterrent to not listen to somebody. It's like not all of their music is like that. In fact, a huge part of their catalog of music that they've put out is pretty damn good, and they have a pretty damn good track record. And really for the last however many years, I think with Falling in Reverse, I would say maybe stemming back to 2018, 2017, 2016, somewhere in there, that's when the hype got very real for these guys. You know, once Ronnie cleaned up his life, and I mean, he's always been surrounded by controversy, but I think he's a great human, and I think for the most part, he's changed his life for the better, but he's always going to be a rebel. He's always going to be a risk taker. Like, I love seeing his videos on social media, Instagram, TikTok, where he's, you know, fucking with the cancel culture mob or these leftist, this woke mob, these fucking weirdos that try and cancel you for everything that you say. I mean, you know, these last 3 weeks we've been listening to Tom McDonald, and Tom and Ronnie kind of fit into a very similar category of them not giving any fucks about what they say and do and how that's going to be perceived by people, perceived by the media. But in a lot of ways, like, they kind of overlap with their music because the sounds and the genres that they tap into are all over the place. Like, Tom can do rock and roll, he can do hip hop, he can do rap, he can do a little bit of country, he can make it all blend together so well. And same thing with Falling in Reverse, Ronnie Radke. Hardy's doing a little bit of that, and that's something that I think gets taken for granted. Do you understand how hard that is to do? I mean, I'm not a musician, I'm not an artist, I'm just a dude on the internet talking about music because I'm a huge music fan, I'm a music nerd. I've said it so many times on the channel, so it's gonna sound redundant and it's gonna sound like I'm harping on the same thing. A lot of times, this is why I have issues with like radio music, like pop music, because there's a certain formulaic way to craft those songs, and a lot of those songs have that certain formula and they sound the same, and it's like, it's just so watered down, like it's not refreshing. Like, I love when artists, musicians go out and they take a risk or they try and evolve their sound. You know, Mac Miller was so successful in doing this because he came into the game as essentially a frat rapper, and by the end of his career, unfortunately, when he passed away, you know, way too soon, making albums like Swimming and Circles, it's like this man had evolved to an entirely different sound and was really mastering his craft, in my opinion. And he was 26 or whatever when he passed away, and you're thinking, man, if he's already like that at 26, because he'd been working on his music essentially his whole life, ever since he was a kid, is when he got into music, picked it up just so naturally. It's like, where would the guy be at 36, 46, 56? I mean, in my opinion, and I'm biased with my opinion, he's already going down as one of the greatest of all times, but I think if he lived longer, that would have been even more cemented into his legacy. So he's an artist that does that. I think if you're a true artist, I think if you're a true musician, you're gonna do the things that Mac Miller has done, Ronnie has done, Hardy has done, Tom McDonald has done. It's like, you're always trying to find ways to evolve in life, but also your craft and what you do for your career. Never be built into these perceived limitations, these forces that you think exist around you and are trying to confine you. That is all a fallacy of the mind that the mind has constructed and created. But that's my first take. For the reaction purposes, we will go back and we will listen to it one time, not watch the music video. Let's try and catch a little bit more of the lyrics, see if there's anything else to talk about, and then also really focus on the instrumentation of the song. Here we go, round two.
I fell in love with the crazy bitch. She fucked me good, she's a lunatic. But that.
Also, just a little point right here. When he starts out the song like this, I don't know why, the lyrics, the subject matter, it also made me think of that song, if you guys know Theory of a Dead Man. What's that one song that was really popular of theirs? And it kind of starts the same way, talking about a crazy bitch that he was in love with, like she fucks me so good. Something like that. I'm like, oh man, that's so similar to Theory of a Dead Man. I wonder if Ronnie pulled like any influence from that song or from that band.
That's how I like my women.
Crack guitar.
She keyed my truck, she stole my dog, she broke my heart and I lost my job. And that's only the beginning. She's my future ex-wife. We're moving real fast. She's got me
That harmony.
She's a pain in my ass.
Got me by my balls. There it is. Now it gets harder. I love this part. Na 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 na. Turn me on. It's catchy, bro. Already listening to it a second time. There's the scene from The Shining. I forgot to talk about that the first time. They recreated it. That's cool. Shredding.
And we're moving too fast. She got me by my balls. She's a pain in my ass.
Fucking love those drops. It's not a heavy drop, but it's like a subtle punch you in the fucking face. Like I said, already listening to it a second time, it's like you can tell it's catchy. It's gonna grow. It's gonna be one of those songs that you just can't get out of your head because it's so catchy. I guess a few other things to touch on is, again, subject matter. It's comedic, the music video, the spin that he's taken on it, but there is also a deeper context to it, like legitimately. And I think a lot of men out there that end up watching this video can probably relate. I think all of us men, if we have enough dating experience, if we're old enough to have dated enough ladies, we've gone through a situation like this. I know I have. I know I have dated a handful of crazy women. I can think of one in particular where that relationship was really bad for me. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we do it. Sometimes it's an honest mistake. You don't know who you're getting involved with. There have been other ones where it's like, I knew their past. I knew what they had went through beforehand, or at least I had a little bit of a snapshot of it, and I completely disregarded that evidence altogether and said, like, I still want to be with this person. I still, want to date them. I still want to have sex with them. And Ronnie's basically talking about it. It's true for a lot of men. Why is it that the crazy ones, they're not good for you? They are not good for your mental headspace. They make your life so difficult, miserable. If you love them, if you get emotionally attached to them, it's like a roller coaster ride, but it's like it makes it all the more exciting. As guys, you probably also know it's like you've been with a girl that's just kind of boring, like doesn't really have a personality, is, doing everything in the relationship by the book and in the right way. And it's like, man, this is not stimulating me at all. And I know it's not healthy to think that way, but like, what's the proper balance, right? Because you don't want to get with a crazy bitch, but you also don't want to be with a boring chick that's like super vanilla. So you got to be with a good girl that has maybe a little bit more of an edge to her, or at least carries more of a personality. In the same sense, like in relationships, in the dating market and the whole dating dynamic, is why is it that like if I'm talking to a girl and it's like early on and like maybe I meet her for the first time or whatever, and she's texting me all the time, she's responding right away, or like we hang out in person and she's all over me and she's basically making it super clear that she's interested in me. That to me, and I'd like to know from you guys like what you think, comment in the comment section below. But why is it that those girls, it's more dissatisfying and it's more distasteful to me? Because it's like that person that you just met or just starting to talk to, it's like they're throwing all of themselves at you and there's no resistance, there's no mystery, there's no intrigue, there's no back and forth cat and mouse chasing sort of game going on. Now, to be fair, like I don't think games should be played to a certain extent. So if you've been talking to somebody for a month or whatever, they shouldn't be playing hard to get. I think playing hard to get, that whole fucking game, I think that's bullshit. But I do think it's natural in the beginning when you first start talking to somebody, dating somebody, courting somebody, going on dates. There should be a little tug and pull. There should be a little mystery, a little game that's going on. But then, yeah, if I am talking to a girl in the beginning stages, and not that she's ignoring me, not that she's playing a game, but like she's just living her life, like she's out there working, hustling, grinding, like she has her things going on. A girl that's not gonna respond right away, or maybe in those first few days she's feeling you out just like you're feeling her out, and then she gives you subtle little signs, or gets slightly a little bit more physical. I'm so much more intrigued and interested in that, because it's like this person is not desperate or immature in that sense where they're like, oh my God, I'm feasting for this person and I can't control myself, my desires, my impulses. It's just weird how that dichotomy works out. But in the same sense, we're talking about this dichotomy of crazy bitches, terrible for your mental headspace, but so fun to be on that roller coaster ride. It makes everything so much more interesting. But then talking about the dichotomy, if you're with somebody that's just really fucking boring, has no personality, doesn't stimulate you in that way, it's like you're not going to last very long with that girl. Or if it's women out there that's dating a guy that's like that, there's a lot of dynamics that go into it. But not to make this super long or to go on like a big rant about dating, but I just think it's funny. He's giving it a comedic spin, but it is a very real, like, serious topic for a lot of men out there, especially young men, including myself being 28 years old. It's like, be really fucking careful who you end up with long term, who you decide to shackle your life with, who you want to settle down with and start a family with, get married to, have kids, try to obtain the white picket fence, the idea that we have here in America. You got to be so careful. And I think to some extent it's okay to be a little bit picky, right? Like, don't be too picky that you're not giving any girl out there a chance. But, you know, some people will say that to me with my dating woes over the years, is they're like, Cole, I think you're a little bit too picky. And I'm like, well, if I'm looking for a long-term thing, aka a wife, shouldn't I be a little bit more picky? I think that's completely acceptable to be that way. But guys will completely ruin their lives over women, and especially the wrong women. And now, you know, sometimes you get with somebody and you think it's the right thing and it doesn't work out. Like, that's okay. Like, go out there and make mistakes and truly find the type of person that you're meant to be with. But as men, and equally for women, we have to be very, very discerning of, you know, this person that we're going to end up being with. I mean, that's the whole dating game. Not only is it a competition, I mean, you're going out there and you're selling yourself to this person. That's why I think life, you know, people don't like to talk about like sales. You know, people say, oh no, I wouldn't be good in a job like that. And I'm like, I understand. Some people are made for it. You can build the skills to be good at it. Some people just don't have it. But it's like, you don't think that life is a competition, or you don't think that you have to sell yourself constantly. You are sadly mistaken. That's what life is. Reality is a competition. So you better try to get fucking better, and you better try to become a very desirable partner for someone else to be with. People are always judging you. You're always selling yourself. Your personal brand at this point in time with social media, the internet, like, it is your fucking main equity. So you better invest in that. The dating market is a topic that we could go on and on and on about. It is so messed up right now. It is. I've had so many bad experiences that the world has completely changed in that regard, with a lot of things now being online and less interactions like that are happening in person. And, you know, I don't think it's one person's fault. You know, I think men are weak right now for the most part, and I think men need to get better. But I also think women could be a lot better too. And maybe we'll have to dive into this on a different video, but men and women need to be a lot more selective. I think it's disgusting that we've gotten ourselves to this point in society and culture that now we have like hookup culture. People are investing less and less in relationships, in intimate relationships. It now becomes a badge of honor on the amount of people that you have had sex with. And it's disgusting. And with the internet, social media, the phones, the dating apps, it's so easy to ghost. You don't give people explanations anymore. It's just, oh, hi and bye and done. And okay, maybe it wasn't serious enough to begin with, that you really don't need to provide an explanation to that person. But man, like in our world, you know, years ago, before this all happened, a lot of people had much more common courtesy and respect, and you couldn't really ghost people, at least to the extent that we're doing it now. It's become so widespread. And so there's a lot of things that have to change. I don't know what the actual answers are, but Ronnie Radke, my friend, you made this a funny song, but you were really tapping into subject matter that is super important and that we should talk about in a deep format, in a deep conversation like this. Men and women need to be more selective with the partners that they're choosing to shackle up with, fuck, have sex with, and ultimately become a long-term relationship with that person. Women hold the power in terms of the sexual dynamics. It's always been that, you know, women are the gatekeepers to sex. But I think for guys, man, like a lot of these dudes out here, and that's been me before too, not so much anymore, but men will just lower their fucking standards, dude. I think it's the hard thing with men is we're so fucking horny, probably on average a lot more horny than women. And so it's like, we'll fuck anything that moves. I know for me, years ago, a girl that I was with, it was not good for me. And again, I kind of knew the signs going into the relationship, just the way that we entered it. Like, we were co-workers, and she had just gotten out of a relationship with her baby daddy. And because she was in close proximity, and I felt like that was like one of the only options I had, because she was probably the most attractive co-worker that I worked with, and we worked all these shifts together, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go for her. Like, she's fucking hot, she's good looking. It's like, no, like, she was crazy. And I don't know if she'll end up watching this video. Like, I'm not gonna name any names, but she was really close to being trailer trash material. And all the things that I've heard about her since we broke up have not been good. She actually broke up with me, made up some bullshit. How ironic. And then 8 days later, she got back with her baby daddy. And I know she created a OnlyFans at one point. She was going to different states and fucking a number of men. And so this is where sometimes, you know, I look at situations like that and I'm like, man, God is real, because he let me go through some bad shit, some bad relationships, but he never let me stay with these women long term, never got them knocked up. Like, my life could have gone south if I had made a few extra bad decisions, but I was with them long enough to experience the pain, the hurt, the emotional toll, get out of it, and take away a bunch of lessons from those moments. Ronnie Radke, you made this a comedic song, props to you, but this is a very real subject. Catchy song, fun music video, good feature, great instrumentation. I mean, Ronnie Radke, Falling in Reverse, they are masters of their craft, and I'm always excited when they put out new music. I really hope this is leading to a new album, because that would be sick. It took us a long time to get an album from Falling in Reverse last year, and maybe we'll get another one, you know, just a year later. Anyways, guys, that's the video, that's the reaction, the podcast. As always, if you got all the way through, I ask that you do 4 things. You don't have to do all 4, but please do one of the 4, which would be like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment in the comment section below, share this video, this message with people, whether you're talking in person or you share it on your social media. Basically, doing one of these 4 things. If you got some type of value out of watching this content, if you thought it was fun, if you thought it was entertaining, if you thought it was valuable, if it wasn't a waste of your time, this is the exchange that we do over here. I film, I edit, I put it out there. I take my time to do this, and I try and always give my most honest, genuine, authentic thoughts. I try to be here, present in the moment as I'm reacting, giving you guys a good product. And in that value exchange, if it wasn't a waste of your time, just do one of those 4 things. It helps me grow my channel, get out there to more people, spread it. Word of mouth, on the internet, do whatever you gotta do. But guys, that's the reaction. I will see you guys next week on the next video. Not sure who the artist will be. Maybe we'll get back into Tom McDonald, going down that path. But I saw that Falling in Reverse dropped this song, and I was like, dude, I gotta check it out. Anyways, love you guys. See you later. Take care. Bye-bye.